Hey guys, this is Don, aka the Interactive Nanny, coming to you guys from Interactive Nanny's world where love and play are interacting. So we're a weekend to the new year, so I just want to say Happy New Year, guys. I'm so glad to be here with you all. And so we're gonna start this year off with Storytime. And this book is kind of interesting. It's the title of the book is called The First Garden, and it's written and illustrated by Robin Gorley. And the it's actually a book about the White House garden, and it has like different recipes and stuff in it, which I'm more than likely not gonna read the recipes, but I sort of I've just never really read a lot of books like about the White House and just different aspects of the White House. So I thought I would grab this one and we sort of go through it together and sort of explore the White House garden. So here we go. The White House garden is the official home of the president. My bad. Let me start over. I'm sorry, guys. The White House is the official home of the President of the United States of America. The first president, George Washington, supervised its construction beginning in 1792, but he never lived there. In fact, work still wasn't finished when the second president, John Adams, and his wife, Abigail, moved in 8 years later. Since then, each new president has made changes and additions to the furnishings, the buildings, and the grounds. The White House now has 132 rooms, wow, counting the offices in two wings. There are 35 bathrooms, oh my gosh, 11 bedrooms, 2 kitchens, 3 dining rooms, 1 library, 1 bowling alley, and a movie theater. That is a lot, but who uses 35 bathrooms? That's a lot. Okay. The White House sits on 18 acres of land called the President's Park in the heart of Washington, D.C. The park includes the Rose Garden, where the president sometimes gives speeches, the Jacqueline Kennedy Garden, where the president often entertains informally, and the Children's Garden, which has a goldfish pond and an apple tree that's perfect for climbing. There's also a swimming pool, a basketball court, a tennis court, a landing pad for the president's helicopter, and a huge open area called the South Lawn, home to the annual Easter egg roll. And the pictures are so cute, guys, and it looks like the picture that's showing the Easter egg roll, it has like a bunch of children, and they're sort of catching a bunch of different colored eggs. It's just so cute. Oh my gosh, I wish I could actually show you guys the pictures. Over the years, more than 50 children have lived in the White House, and the South Lawn has been their backyard and playground. Tad Lincoln, son of Abraham Lincoln, kept 2 ponies in the White House stables. Benjamin McKee, grandson of Benjamin Harrison, drove a cart pulled by a goat named Old Whiskers. Kermit Roosevelt, son of Theodore Roosevelt, played fetch with his terrier Jack, one of 5 family dogs. John Kennedy Jr., son of John F. Kennedy, liked to splash in the White House fountain. Tricia Nixon, daughter of Richard Nixon, was married in the Rose Garden. Amy Carter, daughter of Jimmy Carter, had slumber parties in her treehouse on the South Lawn. When Barack Obama became the 44th president, he moved into the White House with his wife, First Lady Michelle Obama, their daughters Malia and Sasha, and Mrs. Obama's mother, Marion Robinson. Soon they added a dog named Bo to their family. As First Lady and as a mom, Mrs. Obama was concerned about the health of the American people. She believed we should think about what we eat and where our food comes from. And she wanted her family, all families, to become healthier by eating more vegetables and fruits and by eating meals together at the table. One day in early 2009, Mrs. Obama watched Malia and Sasha play on the South Lawn. She gazed out at the large expanse of grass where President Taft's cow, Pauline, once grazed and where President Wilson once kept a flock of sheep. And she made a decision. She would plant a kitchen garden full of fruits and vegetables right there on the White House lawn. The president thought it was a wonderful idea. Other first families have had vegetable gardens at the White House, but there hasn't been one since Eleanor Roosevelt's Victory Garden. It was planted in 1943 during World War II to show Americans the importance of growing extra food and conserving fuel to support the war efforts. But after the war ended and the food was more readily available at grocery stores, most Americans lost interest in backyard gardening. Miss Obama began planting for the kitchen garden right away. She would need lots of help, but she knew some very good workers. In March, on the first day of spring, Miss Obama invited 23 fifth grade boys and girls from Bancroft Elementary School in Washington, D.C. to come and help her begin work on the garden. White House gardeners had marked off 1,100 square feet of 1,100 square foot space. Miss Obama showed the children how to dig up the grass and break up the earth beneath it. With the assistance of the White House kitchen staff, they turned the soil with shovels and spades and hands. The insects away. And beekeeper Charlie Brantz installed a beehive nearby, a home for about 60,000 bees that will pollinate plants and make honey for the White House. Seedlings were started in the White House greenhouse. Some were from seeds passed down by plants first grown 200 years ago by Thomas Jefferson. They came from his garden in Monticello. I'm sorry, y'all. It looks like I'm getting a little tongue-tied today. Monticello, Virginia, and were donated by the Thomas Jefferson Foundation. In April, the children from Bancroft Elementary came back to help plant the kitchen garden. Miss Obama showed them how to dig a shallow hole in the soft, warm earth, plant a seedling in it, and mount and tap the soil around it for support. On hands and knees they worked, carefully placing young shoots of the Thomas Jefferson lettuces, cabbages, and spinach. They planted parsley and thyme, eggplant and cucumbers, carrots, kale, and sweet potatoes, raspberries and blueberries. In all, they planted 55 varieties of herbs, fruits, and vegetables. The president said, "No beets." So it is it is a no-beet garden. Then they finished sowing the shoots from the seedlings. The children gave the garden a deep, gentle watering, and at the end of their day's work, laid out in neat rows, ready to grow, bursting with promise, was the first garden. In every garden, there is ongoing work, and there are problems to deal with. There are weeds, Miss Obama said. Everyone will have to weed, even the president. There are plant-destroying bugs. In the first garden, ladybugs and praying mantises were introduced to control harmful insect populations. And nasturtiums, zinnias, and marigolds, flowers that naturally keeps bugs away, were planted. There are animal pests. In the first garden, some of the plants are covered with fine netting to keep the birds, squirrels, and rabbits away. In the first garden, there are a few unusual problems to deal with as well. The wind created by the president's helicopter could knock over the beehive, so it had to be fastened securely to its stem. The garden is very popular, and there are many people who want to see it. To protect it from being trampled and sampled, visitors are taken around by guides. Bo had to be kept out of the garden because dogs like to dig. Mrs. Obama enlisted Cressida Comerford, the White House executive chef, and Bill Yosef, the dessert chef, to begin planning vegetable and fruit dishes for the first family for guests of the White House. Sam Cass, an assistant chef, was appointed food initiative coordinator to oversee the garden. It took just 6 weeks for the first garden to start producing food ready for harvest. I hope I am not messing up anybody's names that I am pronouncing in this book. In June, Cressida served a salad course made of ingredients from the garden to 20 important guests of the president. By July, Bill was making desserts with rhubarb and honey. As the garden grew, it could provide vegetable courses and salads for as many as 140 White House guests, or appetizers for as many as 1,000. It helped feed the first family and the staff, and it provided food to Marion's Kitchen, an organization that prepares and serves free, healthy, homemade meals to homeless men and women in Washington, D.C. To celebrate the success of the kitchen garden, Mrs. Obama planned a harvest party for August. The invitation list included the student gardeners from Bancroft Elementary and Sam, Cressida, Bill, and Charlie. After being away from the garden for 4 months, the children were surprised at how much everything had grown and how much was ready to be eaten. The colors are so vibrant and pretty in these illustrations, you guys. Like these bright yellows and purples and blues and reds. They're so pretty. Mrs. Obama showed them how to cut the lettuce at ground level. Then they all trooped into the White House kitchen, where Cressida had them wash the lettuce, pick over the peas to get the good ones, and throw out the tiny rocks that can cling to vegetables fresh from the garden. With Cressida and Sam, they prepared a salad and decorated cupcakes with raspberries and blueberries. Then they all sat down at picnic tables on the south lawn to enjoy their feast. Over the summer, the first garden produced more than 1,000 pounds of food, and the bees produced 134 pounds of honey, roughly 11 gallons. In September, Mrs. Obama hosted a dinner for spouses of international leaders. It was a very elegant affair, and each guest was given a one-of-a-kind china tea set and a hand-blown glass container full of White House honey. That's cute. The first garden is now famous all around the world. Winters in Washington, D.C. are usually fairly mild, so gardening can go on year-round. In December, and with tight-fitting fabric. The sun warms the hoop house during the day, and the fabric traps the heat so the plants don't freeze overnight. This means the first family and guests of the White House can enjoy fresh spinach, lettuce, carrots, mustard greens, chard, and cabbage until it's time to prepare the soil and plant new seeds in the spring. It doesn't take a south lawn to make a kitchen garden. It takes a windowsill and a pot, a small part of your own backyard, or a plot in a community garden. You can follow the same steps taken by the White House. You prepare the soil, plant your seeds or shoots, keep out weeds and pests, harvest, save seeds for next year's garden. And whether or not you have a garden, you can make small changes for better nutrition and health. You can eat like the president's family by buying more local produce, add adding more fruits and vegetables to every meal, eat fewer processed and sugary foods, eat out less often, and sit down as a family for meals. More than 200 years ago, while building a new nation on principles of independence and self-reliance, our country's founders planted gardens to bring nourishment to their families and beauty to their surroundings. They understood that the more you garden, the more you grow. The White House kitchen garden marks a glorious return to those early ideals. And who knows, if beets are planted there, the president may even grow to like them. Good reasons to garden. Gardens produce delicious, fresh food that nourishes our bodies and keeps us healthy. Gardens conserve energy and resources by cutting back on our need for packaged, transported, and warehoused foods. Gardening doesn't require a lot of fancy, expensive tools. Produce from the garden costs less than store-bought produce. Gardening is great exercise. It takes plenty of lifting, bending, stretching to plant, weed, and harvest a garden. Tending a garden is a good way to relieve stress. It can help create a happy mind and peaceful spirit. Extra food and flowers from the garden make great gifts for friends and neighbors. Home gardening can help us appreciate the work of those who farm for a living. Compost made from kitchen scraps, leaves, and yard clippings can be added to the garden soil. It's a way to help plants grow while recycling and reducing waste. Gardens create beautiful landscapes for people to enjoy. Gardens attract birds, bees, and butterflies. Trees and shrubs offer shade and shelter for wildlife. Gardening is an activity that can be shared by people of all ages. From little kids to grandparents, it can be shared by neighborhoods, communities, and towns. And gardeners are stewards and protectors of the land. And then there's just some recipes from the White House. I'm not going to read the recipes. I'll read like some of the titles, but I'm not going to read like the ingredients and directions. They have baked sliced apples, baked eggs, zucchini quesadillas, creamy salsa dip. We have sweet and zesty popcorn. That sounds good. That sounds like something I would eat. Dip, grilled with herb, sherry, vinaigrette, rhubarb, strawberry crisp. Other story. So guys, I like the story. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. But yeah, that was the first garden, and it was written and illustrated by Robin Gourley. But until next week, this is Dawn, aka Interactive Nanny, signing off from Interactive Nanny's World. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, please. Let's get Interactive Nanny's World on the map. So don't forget, if you know anybody that's working with children, that has children, that's affiliated with children in any way, shape, fashion, or form possible, please recommend Interactive Nanny's World. I'm going to be coming with more topics geared around children, more diverse stories. I'm going to be doing a lot more interviews, so be on the lookout. But until next week, this is not aka Interactive Nanny signing off, and I will be checking in with you guys next week. Have a good weekend and be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully, depending on where you guys live, it's not too cold. I'm located in Alabama, and right now it is freezing. So enjoy your weekend, and I will get back with you all next week. Until then, bye-bye.